All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Sunday, January 7th. Fuck it, it's a raw feed. We're doing it live after the Golden Globes. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. We both just watched the Golden Globes on television. We watched
Mhm,
television and we were texting the whole time, but we saved it. We didn't want to waste it in the hallway. So we
mhm.
texted, but we didn't text what we're going to talk about. So
No.
it's going to be we're really going to surprise each other now with our Golden Globes takes. But I guess Clayton, we do have to start with box office, and I think this might be a quicker than usual box office discussion for the weekend. So, would you give us a plow for the box office weekend of Friday, January 5th?
Number one, Wonka made $14.4 million, down 36%. It lost 234 theaters. It's at $164.6 million in its fourth weekend. Number two, a newbie, Night Swim made $12 million in its first frame. Number three, surprising, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, $10.6 million, down 42%. It lost 234 theaters. It's at $100 million domestic in its third weekend. Number four, Migration made $10.2 million, down 40%. It lost 127 theaters. It's at $77.8 million in its third weekend. Number five, Anyone But You, $9.5 million, an increase of 9% with no theater change. It is at $43.7 million in its third frame. Number six, The Boys in the Boat made $6 million, down 28%. It added 130 theaters. It's at 33.8 million in its second weekend. Number seven, The Color Purple, $4.7 million, down 59%. It added 15 theaters. It's at $54.6 million in its second weekend. Number eight, The Iron Claw, $4.5 million, down only 3%, even though it lost 382 theaters. It is at $24.8 million in its third frame. Number nine, Ferrari made $2.5 million, down 36%. It lost 265 theaters. It's at $16 million in its second weekend. And number 10, surging, Poor Things made $2 million, down only 12%. It lost 50 theaters. It's at $14.2 million in its fifth weekend. That is your top 10.
I mean, we'll talk Poor Things later because we're going to talk a lot about the Globes, and that is a movie whose box office could be helped by tonight's Golden Globes. A movie whose box office will not be helped by any award show from now until the end of time is the number one movie this weekend, Night Swim. Well,
No, the
except it was
number
not
two
number
movie.
one. It was number two, Night Swim. Of course, Wonka was nominated tonight. Did not win. Timothy Chalamet, Best Actor in a Musical. All right, Night Swim came in number two. It made 12 million. You know, horror always wins. This is January horror and January dump horror. It made on the low end of the tracking, kind of under the tracking. The tracking for this seemed to start around 13. Um, last year we had Megan. We knew this would not be Megan making 30 million, inspiring all the dances, being a phenomenon. But I gotta say, this Night Swim did even less than I think any of us would have thought. This is real low end
But
of
Pat, we're talking,
horror.
and I know on this budget and for these movies, $3 million is a big deal. I mean, we're talking a swing here of $3 million. I mean, this thing didn't come in at $7 million.
No,
It didn't
no,
come in at
it
$5
didn't.
million. So let's not act like it's a disaster.
No, this is not a disaster. It's
It's
going to
just no
make everyone
Megan.
money. It's here's the thing: is it's a type of movie that there's to us, I would say, nothing to get excited about because based off of the audience responses to this
See,
feels like a movie that's it got a C cinema score. This movie is going to, I think, crater.
yeah.
I don't think there's any, there's not Talk to Me, there's not Megan buzz, there's not even, it's not a Final Destination, it's not a what were those movies where they were trapped in a maze? The horror movies from a couple of years ago. They were like in a
Are you talking
uh,
about Escape Room?
escape room. It's not an escape room, even I would say level horror movie. This Night Swim feels like listen, it made 12 million. Maybe I'm coming in hot being down on this because it so underperformed what I expected. but this feels like a movie that next weekend drops like 70%.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think, I mean, this was within the tracking. Yes, it didn't go over the tracking. It didn't over index in any, demographic truly. So, I mean, it was, it was male and female split. It seems
Mhm.
like a lot of young women and men went either together or apart. 18 to 34, largest demographic, 18 to 24. That tracks
Mhm.
for a PG-13 horror movie. 37% Caucasian, 31% Latino
Yep.
and
Latino
Hispanic,
came up big.
of course,
Yep.
19% Black and 7% Asian. So it's got a horror movie sort of demographic split. I mean, it's just like you said, nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
And so not really much to talk about here
Yeah,
because
this isn't gonna turn Wyatt Russell into Patrick Wilson,
no.
or Ethan Hawke, a guy who's gonna be, "Let's get him a bunch of horror franchises." I don't think this is gonna lead to Night Swim 2. We talked about the possibility, does this go into the ocean? I don't think this ever makes it into the ocean based on this opening weekend.
Yeah.
I don't, they you talked the last episode, should they have started with a above ground pool
Are
and
you more
work
on my
their
side now?
no, I agree. Well, no, I think they had to start with the below ground pool because they never would have gotten a sequel. The series would have ended with an above ground pool. And I think that's the type of thing that you don't want to have people making fun of you years later that the franchise never got past an above ground pool.
Yeah, I think you also could, if this was a success, do a prequel where it is an above ground pool.
Uh, right. And I don't think we'll ever get that. Well, that's a Screambox original type of situation, like if a horror specific streamer wants a Night Swim prequel to get the above ground pool movie, but I don't think
Mhm.
that's theatrical. I don't
Yeah.
think so. Um,
Um, I think, yeah, so Night Swim, again, not much to talk about there. I think something to keep track of, and we'll have more time to talk about this movie because of how well it's doing and how little there is coming out, is Wonka back to number 1, doing
yep,
its thing,
yep.
holding spectacularly in a way that is akin to and maybe even better than Jumanji.
Well, it's never going to get to what Jumanji did in the final numbers
But the
because
holds are similar.
the holds are similar. The holds are spectacular for Wonka. It seems like it's gonna do, I would end up saying significantly more. Well, maybe not significantly, but it's gonna beat the Burton Depp Wonka. Right
Mhm.
now this movie's at 165 after 4 weeks, still number one. The Burton Depp movie, I think, got to 204 million domestic. Wonka feels like it's gonna beat that. Wonka feels like it's got a shot to get 225 or so. I
Yeah.
think this movie's got another 60 plus $1 million domestic left in it.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll talk Wonka more, obviously, because it's gonna be out for a little while. We'll see how much it can hold. I do think we need to mention Aquaman coming in at 3. We had it at 4. We thought
Yeah.
Migration would beat it. It was very close,
We,
but
we, we were we were saying there's a possibility it would come in 5. I mean, that's where we were at last episode.
I think you were more there than I was.
Okay. Okay.
But at this point, really
But that's
what you're
still a
talking
we.
well, I mean, listen, so do you wanna stand by everything I say?
Okay, no, you're right. That wasn't we. It was just me on Aquaman and you on all the other stuff you say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How
Yeah,
scared did you just get?
yeah. I
Uh,
I saw a bleak future there. So no,
you
you're
did.
right.
So, right now, we're not talking about profit with Aquaman and the Lost
No.
Kingdom. We're talking about minimizing loss,
Yes. Yes.
right? So, when this thing makes 100 million domestically, which is only the 4th out of 8 2023 superhero titles to make that mark and achieve that,
Mm-hmm.
that's positive in the sense that it's less of a financial hit for Warner Brothers, which
Yep.
doesn't matter to us because we're not Warner Brothers and we're not Zaslav, so we don't care. We care about theatrical and how many people are going and putting their butts in the seats and buying tickets. And this is still, pacing alongside Black Adam and Meg 2 two movies no one's ever going to think about ever again. I mean, The Rock
Right.
will always think about Black Adam, but otherwise, I mean, it's just like how little face can you save here when it comes to Aquaman?
I mean, I think this is a face-saving result and run so far for Momoa. I think Momoa is the one who doesn't, because of this run, doesn't get sucked down into the Zachary Levi, Brie Larson territory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he could point to them and say, listen, people didn't want to see them, but they wanted to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And he could say, hey, a year from now, he's on, Graham Norton talk show or whatever he's on. And I think he could start making fun of, they had a premiere and they were giving out bagel bites and
Mm-hmm.
yoo-hoos. Maybe if they would have promoted the Aquaman movie, more people would have went because they sure loved me,
Yeah.
and Graham Norton will fall off his chair and it'll be a viral video a year
And
from now.
we'll talk about this when we get to the Golden Globes, because of course, Robert Downey Jr. had a speech there. We're not going to spoil or anything, but he did talk on stage,
Yeah,
and
he was
he's
quippy.
quipping, but he's prepping for his bigger awards speeches that he'll have, and there's going to be a dig at Marvel in there. There's going to be a joke about Iron Man. There's going to be a joke about you know I was actually with other actors. I wasn't a green screen. He's going to make a snide little comment, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We saw Steven Yeun, big winner as well. We can talk about that because it's TV and no one gives a shit. It's even
Right,
worse
right.
than TV. It's Netflix,
But Stephen Yoon, he escaped. We talked about it.
and he
If you're
escaped.
not a YouTube subscriber, you must subscribe because we did a web exclusive just a few days ago. Stephen Yeun escaped the Marvel Thunderbolts movie. We talked about that at length. And then tonight he won a Golden Globe. I mean, that
Mhm.
is a man who has carved out a great path for himself by leaving Marvel, by winning awards. And that is where these actors are at now. You're right. Downey Jr., I think he's saving it for the Oscars. I think he doesn't
Yeah.
want, that's the big one. That's the one
Mhm.
everyone's waiting for him to make, is to make fun of Marvel. And I
Yeah.
think what he's going to say is, you want me to make fun of Marvel on a stage holding an award? It's got to be an Oscar. I'm not doing that for a SAG award. I'm not doing that for a Globe. I'm not doing that for a Blockbuster award. You give me the Oscar and I'll make fun of how this thing looks more real than my Iron Man suit from Endgame.
Yes.
Yeah.
As Iron Man and his performance in Iron Man paved the way for this past, generation of superhero movies, his talking shit about superhero movies, he will be the person who blazes the trail for other victims of
Yes.
these movies to speak out, like Momoa. Momoa
Yes.
will feel emboldened by Robert Downey
Mhm.
Jr. and Steven Yeun. And I don't think Steven Yeun, he's classy. He's not going to make any snide comments, obviously. He made the strongest comment, which is escaping. But
Yes.
I think you're going to see Momoa play along with Graham Norton and obviously make some jokes about Aquaman. I can't believe I played the lamest character ever in comics and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. I mean, I think that is going to happen.
Yes. 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 I think you're right, and I think Momoa, maybe it's not now, maybe he's not ready, but I agree. Someday he will speak out against these what the superhero industry did to him and other actors.
Mhm.
But I think it's a face saving run for him, that it's doing better than any of these post Quantum Mania superhero movies. I would say it's going to end up doing much better than those.
But
So
again, much better is
of
terrible.
course, so listen, you know what? Let's get out of the negative.
Oh,
Night Swim, disappointing horror. Aquaman, another superhero stinker. Let's get into the most positive box office story we have had in a long time. Anyone
anyone
but you.
but you.
Clayton, I told you about this. I got a text over the weekend from wannabe O senior intern Christopher.
Mhm.
And he texted me. He saw the Saturday numbers for anyone but you, what the weekend was shaping up to be. And he texted me, I think you might be right. This might be something about Mary territory.
Okay.
Now, listen,
He
okay.
wasn't alive. Listen, I love wanna be senior intern Christopher. right? We
Great,
are Penn State. We are Penn State.
great
Okay.
kid.
We are
The
alumni.
next year when he graduates college, bidding war, radio shows around the country.
Oh,
Barstool going to open the checkbook. The Ringer open the checkbook. K-Rock 92.3 New York open the checkbook. Sirius. They're all going to be bidding for the services of wannabe O Senior and Sir Christopher. But,
but was
but,
not alive when that happened. Was
yeah,
not alive. Okay.
yeah,
So listen, I'll take it from you and I'll listen to it from you and I'll
yeah,
ponder it from you,
right.
but was not alive, right? I mean, there's no way he was alive in 97, 98.
He would not have been alive.
No,
He would not have
not
been alive.
alive.
He would have been dead. He would have been pre-alive.
Pre
Pre-alive.
alive. Yeah.
So yeah, Christopher
PA.
would have been pre-alive during the historic box office run if there's something about Mary. But he was saying the text was thinking I might be right because I'm the one who said compared anyone but you to there's something on Mary. Now, of course, I'm not saying in final overall tally. Anyone
Yeah.
but you is not going to make what did something on Mary get to 160, 170, something like that. Just, domestic, huge hit, should have been nominated that year for Best Picture, talking about awards.
Yeah.
But this movie is now at 43.7 million after 3 weeks. It just went up 9%. So
Mhm.
that is what we're talking about. That fact that week to week, this movie is increasing its audience. It's a genuine phenomenon.
It's a
When
word of mouth phenomenon, which is
Yes.
important,
Yes.
right? Because the marketing, as I've said many times, and I still stand by,
Yeah.
that marketing team should have been fired.
Yeah.
And the people are doing their job for them. Now, I
Mhm.
don't approve of that for everything. I think, of course, Barbenheimer, a great example of that sort of thing, taking off and doing a good job. But I think that this is like truly a, hey, my buddy saw this, or my girlfriend saw this, or my buddy's girlfriend saw this, or my buddy's partner saw this, or two people I know
People.
saw this
Mhm.
and recommended it to me.
Mhm.
And that is really powerful.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what's happening.
I mean, there's that. You know, people obviously like this movie, though it is strange because the reviews haven't been great, but we're not critics, huh?
Huh?
And audience are not critics, huh? Audiences like what they like, and they seem to like this movie. And I think what's important is younger people seem to like this movie. And that's
Here's
what
what
matters
happened.
because that's who's going to the theater. So it doesn't matter if, the critic for the Idaho Sun-Times doesn't like this movie. The young people who go see movies like this movie.
Pat, here's what happened with the critics. Okay. The critics love the curse. They're slurping on the curse.
Okay.
They're sucking off the curse. They
Okay, so
love the
you're
curse.
talking TV now, you're talking
I'm talking
streaming.
TV. Okay. When Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone, listen, we love Emma Stone,
Love Emma Stone.
goofed on this movie, the critics said,
Mm,
I can't give a good review to a movie that
that
these darlings
right,
shit on.
right, right,
They shit
right.
on it. They
They did.
straight up shit on it.
Yeah,
And so all the little critics said, we can't look uncool by
right,
liking this movie and thinking it's good.
right. Nathan wouldn't be for me if
Yeah.
if I said that I like this movie. He made fun of this movie.
So all the lemmings ran together,
Okay?
right? And they just ran themselves off a big hill because guess what? The people who pay the money to see the movies, who buy tickets,
Mhm.
like this movie,
Right.
right? Which is more important than somebody trying to be cool.
Here's looking back at that, looking back at the Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone making a parody of the Anyone But You trailer.
Mhm.
I'll say Emma Stone could do whatever she wants. She's a movie star.
Free
She's
pass.
starred in movies, starred in hit movies, starred in Best Picture winning movies, got an Oscar, La La Land, giant box office phenomenon. Favorite was a hit. She's a movie star. Nathan Fielder going out there and making fun of a movie, especially now a movie that is a box office phenomenon. In retrospect, that's a disgrace. And
Yeah.
that is a disgusting act.
It's a despicable act.
It's a
It's a
despicable
despicable
act.
act. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Never been in a movie as far as or
I
maybe
wasn't he was in The Night of or whatever. Wasn't he in The Night of with Seth Rogen, that terrible Christmas movie?
jeez. I mean, was he a child in that movie? I mean,
I think he
that
was an
movie
Uber driver. I think he was an Uber driver.
yeah. So, I mean, definitely never opened a movie.
No.
You know, he's opened streamers. He's definitely opened some streaming shows. And
Yeah.
streaming shows we've liked. Sure.
And
But he's
he's opened
never
he's opened parody Starbucks.
yeah.
And that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
That's great for TV, but you're not gonna make a movie about opening a parody Starbucks.
No.
Okay,
No.
because you can't stretch that to an hour and a half.
No.
Listen, and I like the guy. I don't
We
I
like the guy.
we
Come on
like
the
the
show.
guy.
Come on the show.
Come on the show.
Come on the
We like
show.
the guy, but, you tried to fuck these guys over, and now they're getting the last laugh.
Yes. Yes. Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell should now do a parody
Of their parody.
of their parody, and they should be doing a standing there reading the week to week holds of Anyone But You, but
Mhm.
doing it
Yeah,
in the guise of and you know what? Don't even make fun of Emma Stone. Do it in the guise of both of them are playing Nathan Fielder.
yeah.
That's what they should do. That's
Yeah,
what they
yeah,
should do.
really you can't dunk on a movie star because,
Yeah.
I mean, she took a sex Frankenstein movie to 10 million some dollars,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
you
Emma
know?
Stone is a movie star, but Nathan Fielder going out there and and shitting all over a movie before it came out. That's a disgusting act.
Now, I'm trying to find this because Mendelsohn, of course, in his Substack, which again, we've said many times,
Outside
subscribe,
Scoop, must read.
pa- pay to subscribe. You owe him a living. If you listen to
Yes.
this podcast, you owe him a living.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
He's the
Now,
godfather. He's the one who inspired all of this.
yes. So, in one of his many great posts, he mentions that this this movie is making more in the third weekend than it did in the first and the second.
Wow. Wow.
Right, and I might be getting that wrong, and if I
No,
am, but it
it is
is.
because the second weekend went up from the first weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Uh,
9.5 million that Anyone But You made this past weekend is its biggest weekend yet.
yeah, so this is a legit phenomenon, and I would like to mea culpa,
Okay.
because here I am, I'm talking about Nathan Fielder, and I'm acting like my hands aren't dirty.
Okay.
We dunked on this. I mean, we dunked on this movie. I said this could be Armageddon time. I said this could open to under 1 million,
Listen,
right?
there's a web exclusive on the BO Boys YouTube channel where we did a trailer tracking on this trailer
Mhm.
months ago,
Yeah,
and we crapped all over it. The thing is, that's our job. Our
it's our
job is to
job.
talk box office, talk about movies. That's not Nathan Fielder's job. His job is to make little scene streaming shows
Nathan
that are
Fielder's job
critical
is to
darlings.
apparently rip off Synecdoche, New York to
Yeah,
make a TV show,
yeah,
right? Which is I'm
which
not
is
talking about this what he's doing now, the previous show he did, which is great.
great.
If you want
It's great.
it's not a movie. It's not a movie,
No,
but it's something.
no. But that his job was not to make fun of this movie. Our job was, of course, to give honest predictions about this movie. But you want to make a mea culpa for
Goofing on
your
this movie
goofing on this
because
movie.
I obviously and I said, I blame the marketing. I do think the marketing was terrible,
Yeah.
and I could only go from the trailers. And from the trailers it looked terrible. But we are gonna see this movie this week.
Yes. Yes.
And that is huge because we usually if we wanna see a movie, we usually see it opening.
Yeah. Opening week.
Opening
But
opening
before
day
the
is the
rest of America could see it, ideally.
Yes,
Ideally, we're seeing it when it's a New York, LA exclusive. That's how early we
exactly.
see movies. Yeah.
And so, I think that we have to be part of this phenomenon. We have to see what the ticket buyers are seeing in this film.
Mhm.
And it might not be for us. I think we'll probably enjoy it,
Oh, yeah.
but it doesn't matter what we think. It only matters what we think when we are putting that money down, right? I
Right.
mean, and then when we're on this show as the BO boys.
Yep.
But as a, "Oh, I liked it or didn't like this movie," that means 0
Right.
because I already paid for that movie.
Right.
And even if I dislike it, I already paid for it.
This movie, we talked about it a little last week when it had the great second weekend. Of course, when it was doing the great day by days. I will not say day by day.
Watch
Deep
it.
popcorn, I promise. I will not say day by day. Um, we talked about how this is huge for Sydney Sweeney. I think after that first week, we were sort of like, oh, this is a sigh of relief for Sydney Sweeney. This is turning into a full-on star-making box office
Yes.
run. I mean, this movie gets itself to 70 million, which I think it's going to do. I
Mhm.
think it's going to do. This is a star-making run. It's not Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman. It's not Cameron Diaz. There's something about Mary. But you know what? In modern day box office,
Mhm.
where the romantic comedy had seemed to be pushed by the wayside, pushed into the dumpster of streaming,
Mhm.
it's as close as you're going to get to that opportunity. If this movie gets itself to 70, I mean, God willing, get up to 80 domestic,
Mhm.
who knows? That's a movie star making box office run. And romantic comedies usually are star makers for the female lead more than the male
Mhm.
lead. So I think and also I think in general she gets more credit for this. I do think a big part of why this movie is getting so many young people to the theater is because of her. She's more popular than we gave her credit for before this came out.
Absolutely. And I mean, talking about Julia Roberts, I mean, Ticket to Paradise, 68 million domestic, right? That is now gonna be beaten most likely if this continues, and that was looked at as a success because it had 2 legacy stars,
Mhm.
in a romantic comedy. I don't think it was well liked necessarily, but it still felt nice to see George Clooney and Julia Roberts in something that had like a fun, romantic element to it.
Mhm.
And, if this thing can get to past that and like you said, 80, that is a triumph.
Yeah, yeah. That would be a great marker is when Anyone But You gets itself past Ticket to Paradise because it's then
Mhm.
the new eating, the young eating the old.
Yeah.
It's Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney devouring George Clooney and Julia Roberts and gaining their box office strength, which is
Here's
what you want to
here's
see. You want to see the new generation eat the old generation. So when this gets itself 69 million, 69 is a big number for Anyone But You to get to.
I mean, here's the video, right? You get George Clooney, you get Julia Roberts, because they
Mm,
gotta be good sports about this.
yes.
And, they run into Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell at an airport, and
Mhm.
they hand them over 2 tickets. And they
Yeah.
say, "These are yours now."
Yeah. And they say congrats on 69.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great
And then
69.
and then Clooney says, like, something funny or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and you can let Clooney plug his vodka, plug
Yeah.
his coffee makers,
Uh-huh.
whatever,
Yeah.
and Julia Roberts can plug whatever streaming movie she's got going on, and,
Whatever Amazon show.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but the main thing is, yes, you hand them those tickets, and you say, "Great job on that 69."
Yeah.
And then it's
Um,
gonna keep going. This movie's gonna keep going. Here's something to throw out there before we move off of this movie.
okay.
Do we think it will have the momentum? Because we're sitting here, tonight is Sunday, January 7th.
7th.
Can this movie
What are you talking about
get
V-Day?
itself to February, get itself to
V-Day.
V-Day? V-Day weekend.
You'd hope V-Day would be a big weekend,
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible that drops theaters and then you do a big re-release with a new scene or a new
Mm,
introduction with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell.
yeah. Or
That
just
would
like
be big.
side angles. You know what I mean? Just get
Yeah.
promise different angles.
Yeah.
Or
I
get
mean,
a new release, same movie, same length, new angles.
yeah. Or one scene is upside down,
Right. Right.
and you're like, "Which one is it gonna be?" And
Yeah.
then you're like, "Oh, that was the one. That
Yeah.
makes sense."
Yeah, that makes
Right?
sense to be upside down.
I mean, I think that's a wave of the future. I think we've seen that in other, we've seen that done before where it's like you want to get people back in, you add an extra ending, you add an extra scene. I think they do that. I think they have some probably scenes on the cutting room floor. They might have a blooper reel. They add a blooper reel to the end.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
maybe there's a blooper reel during the credits. I don't know. But blooper reel in the middle of the movie. Who knows?
Right.
Do something to get people who've already seen the movie to see it again.
Yeah. Friday, February 14th, which is Valentine's weekend,
Mhm.
Madam Web opens. So Sydney Sweeney's next movie opens.
Oh,
Is it Sweeney versus Sweeney for the top? I mean, also the Marley movie opens that weekend. I think we'll talk a lot about that in the next month. I think that's going to be at least a big opening weekend movie.
debatable.
But Sweeney versus Sweeney, February 14th on Valentine's Day. I mean,
I
that's what I
mean,
want to see.
that's great marketing.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, let's get okay.
Let's
Let's
get
get
into
into
the
it. We got
Globes.
to get into it.
We got to get it into. I mean, this was we purposely are doing this right after the Globes so we can talk about the Globes. Golden Globes are back. All the stars are back. Everyone's done protesting the Globes. That's over. Rear
Yeah,
view mirror. It's done. It's done. It's
everything's
done.
different. Everything's changed.
Everything's different. Everything's changed. So now the BO boys are covering the Globes. They're not a series of tweets anymore. They are an award show on I guess they were on television last year,
Yeah,
but they were hosted by Jared Carmichael, and we kind of are all
yeah.
forgetting that telecast.
He
This is the
really burnt
return.
down Hollywood. He really
Burnt it
burnt it
down.
down. Burnt the city down.
Oh boy.
Um,
Caution tape. Get him some
Caution
caution
tape.
tape.
So yeah, you're right. All the stars were out. Joe Coy, Jim Gaffigan,
Yeah.
Fluffy,
Fluffy.
George
George Lopez. But
Lopez.
hey,
I s- I
George
saw
Lopez apparently stole the show in Blue Beetle. That's what I've heard. So
I saw
he's in a
Todd
movie.
Glass in the audience.
Wow.
So if the Globes,
Todd
let's
Glass
just start.
he might have got $80 a joke for some of those
Good.
monologue jokes tonight.
Let's just start. We're going to talk about the movies, but let's just
Yeah.
start with what the Golden Globes did wrong. One of the things it did wrong was it doubled down on comedians. Okay, it's bad enough you have TV, right? It's bad enough that you give awards to TV shows. You're going to sully your award show with stand-up specials?
Right.
Like, what next? An award for best achievement in subway masturbation?
Right.
What how low can you go, Golden
Right.
Globes?
Right.
All
That's
right?
the next level of showbiz after stand up is subway masturbation for coins.
Yes. Now, I think that stand-up achievement award, one and done. It's gotta be
Yes.
one and done. Ricky Gervais won and he wasn't even there.
Right.
Okay? So, that's dumb.
He was no, but he was busy. He was out having a laugh.
He was having
He
a
was
laugh.
he was having a laugh. He was taking the piss as well.
He was taking a
Is what
piss.
I've heard. Yeah.
So, Joe Coy, embarrassing, but didn't do the sort of Ricky Gervais, I'm gonna just be a dick to everybody, which I never was a fan of. We wanna see the famous people, and we
Yeah.
want them to make the jokes, not you.
Yes.
So Joe Coy, inoffensive, but a little depressing to watch. Otherwise, you know, I think it was a pretty speedy show for what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if it were not for giving out awards for television, it would have been a tight 90-minute show.
Perfect.
And listen, we don't talk TV. We love the shows that won in the sense that The Bear won and
Mhm.
Succession won. Two actual great shows. That said, I want to watch them win the Emmys in a couple of weeks. I don't want to
Yeah.
see those shows on the Golden Globes.
And I
But
do when you look at the Bear, that is like the minor leagues for the next movie stars. Like that's why
yes.
I was enjoying the Bear winning is
Yeah.
because you're looking at these people winning and you're thinking, what's their movie? What's their next
Yes.
movie? Right? Who's the other person that hasn't won yet from this show that's going to get a movie? It's minor leagues for movies, which I think is really interesting to see.
That's true. No, that's true. That is a useful part of having TV stuff on the Golden Globes is we got to see, Jeremy Allen White, who's got it. hit movie right now, Iron Claw,
Mhm.
dropped 3% this weekend. I mean, that
Yep.
is a big success for A24. It's going to be moving up. Looks like it's in their all-time top 5 pretty soon domestically.
Mhm.
Like Iron Claw, huge hit. So you got Jeremy Allen White won a Globe tonight, future movie player.
Mhm.
And Iowa DeBerry for The Bear. I mean, she had great in bottoms.
Bottoms.
Awesome speech tonight on the Globe. Star-making
Mhm.
performance on that stage. She's someone who's going to
Yeah.
be in movies. So yeah,
She's
you're
gonna
right.
have people writing movies for her,
Yes, yes.
saying,
So
"I
that
want her in our movie."
yes, yes. People will say that. So you're right. That part of the show is useful because it's creating new movie stars or showcasing future movie stars. But as far as the movies go, I'm coming in hot right now. I'm coming in real
Alright.
hot.
Are you cutting the shit?
Yeah, I'm cutting the shit. Here's the thing. They gave out an award we've talked about on the show before. Golden Globes created a new award called Best Achievement in Box Office and Cinematic, or Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. Barbie won that award tonight.
Yeah.
And of course it did. Of course
Yeah.
it did.
It should have.
Because it made the most money out of any movie released this
Mhm.
year. So yeah, it should have beat John Wick 4, which made less money. It should have beat uh uh
The
uh
Taylor Swift
Taylor
Eras event.
Swift Eras Tour, which made less money. It
Yes.
should have beat the Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, a movie that was such a box office underperformer
Not
that
part 1 anymore.
there
Not
will
part 1 anymore.
there
Rebrand.
won't be a part 2 because they're rethinking all of their Mission Impossible strategy because of this box office. So yes, Barbie should have beat that tonight.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, and it beat Oppenheimer. Because of course it should have, because Oppenheimer made less money. And here's where I'm cutting the shit.
Mhm.
Oppenheimer made as much as it did because of Barbie, because it was part of Barbenheimer.
Mhm.
Oppenheimer opens a month earlier in June. It does not make anywhere near as much money as it did piggybacking off of Barbie.
Mhm.
So, first of all, the award itself is a joke.
Mhm.
Or if you're going to have that award, have it be Barbie's the only nominee because it's the only possible winner.
Yeah.
Because of course it had to win. Second
Well,
of
they
all,
throw in cinematic like, they had to throw in that little, like, well,
it gives himself an
maybe
out. Maybe
yeah,
there's
just
something
'cause
else.
maybe it made the most money, but is it cinematically an achievement?
Maybe Super Mario Brothers the movie should win because of the cinematic achievement part, not the box office part. So, first of all, the existence of that makes no sense. Second of all, it should have been the last award given tonight because it's the most important
It's
award
the most important.
because it's honoring box office. So
Which
you
is the
create
measuring
this
tape that
award.
matters.
You create this award, an award that can only have one winner, and yet you have 8 other nominees or however many other nominees they had. And then you put it on the middle of the show. It's the
Mhm.
most important award you could possibly give all night. The final award of the show should have been the award for box office achievement, going to Barbie, the only nominee, and that's how you close the show. Because
But
everything else on that show pales in importance to an award honoring box office. You don't give that award, the box office award, you don't give that in between supporting actress in a TV drama and original score. You put that last. You put
Mhm.
that last. The ninth inning of a baseball game doesn't come before the fourth inning of a baseball game. It comes last because it is the most important part of the game.
Well, because Pat, it was box office, but also cinematic achievement. So therefore, best picture, right? Comedy or drama, those are all cinematic achievements, right? They're winning for cinematic achievements.
Therefore, less important because there's
Therefore,
no
less
box office.
importance because there's no box office component. But if you're
Right.
giving award for both together, that
Right.
is the last award. But you know what?
Yes.
At least they got the presenters right because Scott Mendelson presented that award, obviously, right?
No. Scott Mendelson was not a presenter on the show.
So
The
Jeff
the per
Bach did. Jeff
Yeah,
Bach did.
it
Jeff
was
Bach.
not
Wait, we did, right?
no,
We were there.
we were watching the show on
That's
our
okay.
televisions on YouTube TV and Paramount Plus respectively.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so then we had nothing to do with it then.
No. No. It
Okay.
was
Well.
not. This should have been the final award of the
Mhm.
show, and it should have been presented jointly by the BO Boys, Scott Mendelson, and Jeff Bach of Exhibitor Relations Co. The four of us on stage holding hands,
Mhm.
giving
Yep.
out the most important award that's ever been given out, and it should have been given out last to the only nominee in the category Barbie. That is how the Golden Globe should have ended tonight. And as far as the rest of the show, I think we should get into quickly how this portends to maybe Oscars and stuff like that. But Oppenheimer was the big winner.
Mhm.
It won Best Drama. So it was not up against Barbie in
Yeah.
that category, but it was up against Barbie in director, and Nolan beat Greta Gerwig for Best Director. And of course, I'm hot about that
Yeah.
because Nolan's career was resurrected because of piggybacking on Barbie.
Okay.
Coming off of Tenet, he was our he was our dead horse. We were
Mhm.
whipping that dead horse back in summer of 2020. Go back, listen to the archives historical document. BO Boys were broadcasting all through COVID box office. Tenet was a disaster. Nolan would not allow it to be played in drive-ins during a
Yep.
pandemic. He was our dead horse. Comes back to life because of Greta Gerwig, because of Barbie. And the award should have reflected that. She should
Yeah.
have won Best Director for directing the movie that turned Oppenheimer into a giant hit. Listen, that movie would have done well if it opened in June. It would not have done what it did opening the same day as Barbie. It just
It
would
wouldn't have
not
been
have.
nominated for the box office award, that's for sure.
No. Well, maybe because John Wick 4 was. And listen, John Wick 4 is a hit. We love that movie. But
I don't
that
love that
that's a
movie.
that's a padding right there.
It made the same amount as the third one with a much bigger budget. I think calling John Wick 4 like a huge success is sort of like blind, like I know we don't talk about
Well,
budgets, but
yeah, and it was a hit. That movie was a
it
hit.
was a
People
hit,
liked
but
it.
it definitely maxed
Personal,
out how
sure.
much you can
Well,
make
anyway,
that
we're
movie
not here to
for
talk
and
about
still
John
achieve.
Wick 4, but
Okay.
but
It shouldn't have been
the
nominated for the box office achievement. That's what I'm
no, it
saying.
should have been. Well, nothing else should have been other than the only movie that could have won. So
Yes.
I think, where do you think the Golden Globes tonight lead as far as the Oscars? Does it change anything for you? Does it solidify anything for you? So the winners, let me just quickly, the winners were in the big categories. Supporting, Robert Downey Jr. Oppenheimer, one supporting actor. Divine Joy Brown from The Holdovers, one supporting actress. And then there's four best actor actresses tonight because they split comedy.
Mhm.
So Cillian Murphy and Giamatti won drama and comedy for actor, and Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone won drama and comedy actress. And then Oppenheimer and Poor Things won the best pictures. Nolan won director. So all that said, Clayton, what did this solidify or change for you in terms of where you see the Oscars going?
Now, I always say we give too much credit to the Golden Globes
Yep.
forecasting the Oscars because they're a bunch of nobodies who know nothing,
Mm-hmm.
just giving awards to people they like. I mean, I like Anatomy of the Fall, but the fact that Anatomy of the Fall won as many awards as it did, it's a very Globes thing to do,
Yeah. It
right?
won what? Screenplay and foreign film?
Yeah. Which, again, great, but doesn't help with the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thought, and I think I got a few of these correct in that I thought Nolan was gonna win director, and I think he
Mm-hmm.
will win director at the Oscars. I think it's inevitable. I know you are wanting Gehrig to win, and I agree that she should win because of what she did with that property
Mm-hmm.
when everybody was saying, make it animated."
Right.
And she didn't listen, and she crafted this world from this IP that could have been terrible, and
It
she
could have
made
been
it a huge hit and a critical darling.
could
That
have
is
been
what a
Gem and the
director does.
Holograms.
It could have been Gem and the Holograms, right?
Could have
Again,
been Jodie and the Pussycats.
but Nolan is playing the game. He's being as nice and entertaining to people as he possibly can, which God, let's see how that works. Because if this is as entertaining as he gets, This is going to be a rough season.
I mean, the speeches, you're a big speeches guy.
Terrible speech. Boring.
Could you find someone who's more boring than Christopher Nolan?
Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy. I mean, he's just as boring. The two of those two in a room together. My goodness. Robert Downey Jr., I mean, he looks like Richard Pryor in his prime compared to those guys.
Yeah.
Now, I think Robert Downey Jr., slam doink.
Yeah, slam doink.
I think
the Melton thing ended tonight. The Melton thing ended tonight.
Melton thing's over. Melton's over.
Yeah.
Lily Gladstone. Listen, it's great that Emma won. Lily's slam doink. Doink. She's winning Best Actress. Slam doink.
Yeah.
I think Cillian wins Best Actor. I know you're pulling for Giamatti. I think, let's talk box office. The Holdovers needed to be a big hit, and it's not.
I don't think that matters. I don't think that matters for an acting award. Not for an acting award. Sure.
Let me speak. I think the fact that he beat Wright is, I love Wright. And listen, and I'm going to, real quick, I just got to say this. Andrew Scott, I saw All of Us Strangers. I'm not a critic. Haven't cried at a movie that much since Dear Evan Hansen. Just gonna say that.
Wow.
You sat next to me.
I sat next to Dear Evan Hansen, not for All of Us Strangers, and you were a mess for Dear Evan Hansen. So I can't even imagine what happened with this All of Us Strangers this weekend.
It is a work of art. Okay.
Wow.
My heart is with Andrew Scott. I know he probably won't get nominated, but I dismissed him when we were talking Globes, and I am sorry, Andrew Scott. You are a great actor, and you created and helped create a beautiful work of art. But we're talking box office here. So,
but here's one thing on Andrew Scott. I just want to jump in and maybe give you. I think he's got a shot for number 5 because I think Leo is not going to get the nomination. I think Leo and Marty are all in on the mission awards mission of Killers of the Flower Moon is Lily Gladstone winning Best Actress. And I think Leo is starting to fade into the background, which he seems to be totally fine with. So I think if you're looking at the Best Actor 5, Cillian and Paul Giamatti are the doinkiest of doinks. The two of them they won tonight. I think it's the two of them battling for the win. I think Bradley Cooper is getting in there, and he's still I think an outside shot to win. But I think he's third. I think it's Giamatti versus Cillian. Jeffrey Wright is getting in.
Yes.
And I think that 5 spot feels like Leo's 5, but I actually think Andrew Scott is going to jump in there ahead of Leo. He's going to be this year's Paul Mescal. That's what I think.
I really, really hope so. Now let's just talk Giamatti and Cillian really quick.
Sure.
Cillian, boring as all hell. Giamatti, with his speech, came prepared. The man is armed for battle.
Yes.
He has a narrative. He has my family are teachers. Teachers are important. I play a teacher. You already like me, but guess what you like even more? The concept of teachers. Yes. I don't think people actually like teachers as much as they say they like teachers. No offense to teachers, but the concept of teachers is something that you can get behind. I mean, it's one of those things like
kids hate teachers and adults hate paying teachers, but everyone
they
loves
don't respect teachers. Yeah.
Right. And everyone says though, but we have to respect teachers. So I think people want to honor teachers in ways where they don't have to pay them. So giving Paul Giamatti an Oscar is a way of honoring teachers without having to pay them living wages.
Absolutely.
So people can get behind that.
I could get behind that. Now, we'll have to see what happens with the rest of these awards, because if Cillian just starts rolling and getting all these awards, then it's over. But if Giamatti can sort of hold back the wave for Oppenheimer, right, which it seems like Oppenheimer's going to win Best Picture, it's going to win Best Director, Robert Downey Jr. is going to win, slam doink of all slam doinks, Best Supporting.
That's the doinkiest doink.
I think Giamatti has sort of a chance, but right now I'm not
I
seeing it.
I'm shocked. I am shocked where you are. Listen, you could think Killian is the more likely. I'm not seeing it after they both won tonight. Giamatti gave the much better speech, the much more memorable speech, the speech that's going to make people like him and want to see him more, where Killian went up there and just stiff as a board. Stiff as a board, gave the people nothing, gave no narrative. And listen, Holdovers was not a box office hit, but it is a movie everyone is watching. Like all the people who vote for these awards, everyone will have seen the Holdovers. Will all of them have seen Poor Things? I think a lot less than the Holdovers. Will all of them have seen Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall? Very few will have seen that. Everyone who votes for the Oscars will have seen the Holdovers and will like that movie. No one is
But
going to not like that movie.
Pat,
So the dismissal is what's shocking to me, because if we were sitting here in a month and Cillian Murphy had just won the SAG award, just won 3 other awards, then I'd say, okay, there's momentum. As of tonight, the two of them are the front runners to win, and nothing changed that.
Pat, it's a predominantly comedic performance by Giamatti. Okay, what does the Academy
It's not a
like
comedy, though. I
more?
mean, it's not this is
Pat,
not him trying to win for A Fish Called Wanda, which won an Oscar. This is him winning
okay,
for a dramedy that is a tearjerker.
Pat, you're letting your heart get in the way here.
No, don't
Yes, you
don't
are.
give me that. Don't give me that. Don't give me that.
You need to
Don't give
calm
me
down
that.
and be less
Don't give me
emotional.
that.
Is what I'm
Don't
saying.
tell me to calm
Because
down.
we're analytical. This is an analytical show, and we're analyzing. So you got to put your emotions to the
D-
side here for a second. You're being
Clayton,
hysterical.
Clayton,
You're getting hysterical.
Clayton,
You got to calm
Clayton.
down.
You're
Just
you're very. I
calm
have
down.
wannabe senior intern Christopher on speed dial. I
Okay.
could get him in this seat so quickly it'll make your head spin. That box office hat that people could see you wearing on our YouTube channel, it'll fly off your head how quickly it'll spin when I get wannabe Christopher in
From
here.
my cold, dead hands. Now, let me
Jack
continue.
will be the one who takes care of that.
You know what? Listen, do not invoke Jack. If I see Jack at my door, there's going to be
It's
some
over.
trouble. It's over. I mean, it is
Yeah.
over for me, I feel
Yeah.
like. But here's the thing. What does the Academy like more than a historical figure, a a boring performance about a historical figure? They love those performances.
Sure.
That is why Cillian Murphy is the front runner, and I
But
think he's going to win.
that
Giamatti
I
gave a great performance, but it is comedic, dude. It is comedic.
sure,
Okay,
but you're the
it's
thing
not
that
talking out of
the
your
thing
ass like Jim Carrey, but
the
it's
thing
comedic.
the thing that I find silly, which is what I find what you're saying now silly, is that today you are talking in foregone conclusions, when instead, as of today, that best actor race is a clear 2-horse race. And
Yeah,
things over the next few weeks will give us more information. And this could be your prediction now, but you're talking down to people who think that this is a 2-horse race. And that
I'm
again
not
could
talking down
change
to
over
people with
again,
no.
that could change, but as of tonight, nothing about the Globes changed the fact that those two are clearly the people who could win that award.
Listen, Pat, I texted you. I'm going to admit to this. I texted you after I saw All of Us Strangers that Andrew Scott makes all the other nominees look like bozos. I
This is not
texted
about who I think
that
should
is
win,
simple.
and I
But
know that's
here's
where
the
you're
thing.
going.
But okay. And of course, I stepped that back because I felt bad because I do like Wright and I love Giamatti. I mean, I love Wright too, but I love Giamatti and Cooper's my man. He's my boy. Okay. But I do feel, in all honesty, a little bit of an emotional connection here with you and Giamatti where you're not seeing what
See,
I'm
this
seeing.
is where
It,
where you're overstepping your bounds here.
I'm not,
Because
I'm
you're
just
overstepping
saying.
your bounds. You're overstepping your bounds. You're overstepping your bounds.
For you,
You're
the audience
overstepping
doesn't
your
have
bounds.
bounds. The audience isn't saying, "Oh, don't go there, Clayton." They're saying, "Go there,
You're
Clayton." This is
overstepping your
for
no,
you, but
listen,
not
this
for
is
the
great
show.
radio. I admit this is
It's
great
oh, it's great.
radio.
Of course, it's great radio, but
It's great radio. Kirk Minahan is lighting up a stogie listening to this right now.
I think what you need to do is, interrogate your feelings and come back with a clear
It's
head.
not about feelings. They both just won the only major precursors that we have as data points. They both won them tonight, and yet you're sitting here talking in foregone conclusions and trying to make me seem like a person who's going on emotion, even though they both won the same award tonight, and one of them gave a bomb of a speech in front of the room of people who are going to be voting on the Oscars.
Dude, Bo is afraid. What's his face? Joaquin Phoenix gave nothing but terrible speeches, and he still won for Joker.
There was no competition in that year that anyone even thought was be close to winning that award. Adam Driver for Marriage Story should have won, but he was never looked at by any prognostic. That was the supporting actress of that year. In terms of this year, Divine Joy Brown is the runaway slam doink to win an Oscar.
Yeah. We don't have
And Joaquin Phoenix was of the 4 acting categories that year, was the one who was the slam doink.
Now, can I ask you, because we gotta find sources and look at facts.
Yes.
Where are you seeing that Giamatti has as big of a chance as you're giving him?
Go
Are you
to
going
let's
to
look
Globe
up. Go to
Derby?
betting odds. Yeah, no. Look at the betting odds.
I'm not a
In the betting
degenerate.
but the degenerates, no. The degenerates
The
were
Deegans?
in the Deegans were on Kiwi Kwan quicker than anyone last
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
So you go look up all the different betting sites that have odds on the Oscars. Here's a shout out of people who closely follow this. Mike, and Oscar. We were a guest on that great show.
Great show. Great.
About a month
I
ago.
only met one Mike, but if he's anything like the other Mike, he must be a great man.
I've met both Mikes, and they're both great Mikes.
Okay.
So
the Mike I met was very nice.
The other Mike, almost as good. Almost as good.
Okay.
They follow this closer than anyone.
Yeah.
And they also follow, aside from following the experts, the gold derbies and stuff, they follow the betting odds. And Giamatti has been the favorite, and obviously the odds will change tonight. All the bookmakers are updating the odds after they watch the Golden Globes. So he's up there. That is the 2-horse race, is the two of them.
Where do you think I'm disagreeing that this is a 2-horse race?
Because you're talking about it in terms of a foregone conclusion.
I'm making a prognostic. I'm prognosticating, which is what we do.
Right.
Right. And then you're getting mad at me saying that I think Cillian is going to win this.
Oh, listen, if he wins, that's not one of my favorite movies. If he wins, he wins. There's been best actor performances that I think stink. This is not one of them. Mm-hmm. What I am getting worked up about is that you went right to. Well, I'm getting worked up about the accusations of me getting worked up about. I'm not getting worked up.
That gets a little blurry there.
I'm not getting worked up that you think Cillian is going to win over Giamatti. I'm getting worked up over the fact that you think that I'm getting worked up about that. And you're claiming emotionality about that. Because I'm not emotional about that. I'm emotional about the accusations of being emotional. And that's what's making me furious.
I'm just sort of observing what I'm seeing. That's what I'm doing.
Okay. So that's the best actor race. Best actress, we said Lily Gladstone, slam doink.
It's a slam doink. I mean, there's really no speech she could give that would turn people off on her.
So at this point, do we feel like the 4 acting categories, 3 out of the 4 are near doinks?
Yeah, I think Downey. I think Divine.
Right.
And I think that Lily, so the only one, and I'll admit to this, the only one that has any sort of question mark right now is Best Actor,
Right. Right. I
you
I
know?
mean, I think we'll when we get closer to it, and listen, when the nominations for the Oscars come out in a few weeks, we'll get a better idea. I think the picture, director, screenplay stuff, especially picture and director, I don't think it's chalk yet that that's Oppenheimer winning both of those.
No,
I
and I think
I I don't think so. I and
don't
I
I
think
mean,
and I think tonight,
yeah.
listen, you're the one who started with, "Let's not make the Golden Globes be the one that decide everything," and you're starting to go in that direction. You're becoming a person who
No,
says the Golden Globes actually do decide the Oscars.
no, I'm thinking of the Academy and what the decisions they've made previously, and Cillian Murphy seems to be the sort of pick they make, is what I'm saying.
Let's even get away from Best Actor, just director and picture. I
Uh-huh,
think coming off of this Globes, I do think there's gonna be a lot of chatter, and not just amongst people on Twitter who don't matter, but even within Hollywood, which does matter,
uh-huh.
probably more than anything, and the people who vote on this, that it's a bad look. Even and Oppenheimer was a hit, but are we going to give all of the awards to the movie that was not the biggest hit of the nominees? And obviously that's happened before, but like Avatar Way of Water wasn't going to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
Maverick wasn't going to win Best Picture. If this is a race between Barbie and Oppenheimer for Best Picture and Best Director, are you going to give it to the movie that piggybacked on the other one's box office? And I think that's a conversation these voters should be having. And as BO boys, we should be firmly on one side of that.
We gotta keep the conversation going,
Yeah.
obviously. Yes, I mean, the thing is, I do I just think that there
It's a
is
bad
that
look.
it is, but I do think there's that idea that, Nolan Nolan story is is going to be viewed in a different way than we view it, and it's gonna look like he's a comeback kid, and they're not gonna give credit to Greta where when they should, and I think that is terrible. I mean, I do think if we can get this out here and keep the conversation going, that it's like
Mhm.
she should win because she helped him.
She helped
Because
him. Yeah.
now he's gonna be directing movies for the rest of his life, and after Tenet, if he woulda had another bomb, who knows if this guy's doing TV shows? Who knows if he's Fincher and he's
Right.
doing shows on Netflix? Like,
Right.
this guy got saved by Greta and Barbie,
Right.
and it's not being acknowledged, and I agree with that.
Right. Because you look at Fincher, Fincher wound up in streaming, and
Mhm.
it's not even because his movies bombed.
No, he
You
had
know,
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl was his last theatrical movie before he got relegated to Netflix.
Yeah.
So there is easily a world in which Oppenheimer doesn't piggyback off of Barbie,
Mhm.
does okay, and after that, you're right, he's Fincher, where the next time he goes around saying, "Hey, I need $100 million to make my movie," everyone around town is like, "Hey, maybe you should just go down the hall and go meet with Netflix, so we ain't giving you that."
Yeah. I mean, Scorsese had to go to Netflix and then Apple, and, I mean, we're forgetting Spielberg barely got Lincoln made.
Right,
Almost 10 what was that, 10 years ago, something like that? Less than 10 years ago, but, like, that is the environment he's living in,
right,
and
right,
he's succeeding beyond any measure because of someone else.
right, right. So I think that is gonna have to be a talking point this award season is, do you reward the one who piggybacked or the
Mhm.
one
Whose
whose piggy
back you're piggying.
whose back is a yeah, right. The
Is
back
being
is the
piggied?
yeah, the who's being piggied. Yes. I think you reward the one who's being piggy, not the piggier. And Nolan
We
is the
got
piggier. Yeah.
we gotta look this up and streamline this message because
Yeah.
I think, we gotta get that right
It
because
doesn't
I
fit
think
on a sign right now.
it's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
And it's close. So we
Yeah.
got to get there. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
this is the Golden Globes. We got to have it good for the Oscars.
Oh, yeah. We've got to have this statement about the piggy, who's the piggy or who's the back. We've got to have this ready
For
uh
SAG.
for SAG. For SAG. Yes.
Yeah.
We've got to, and speaking of, I mean, by the time people are listening to this, Monday morning SAG awards come out. SAG award
Mm.
nominations come out. And that's going to tell us a lot about who's going to get the Oscar nominations.
Oh, and I don't think
Your
I've made
boy,
this.
not Adam
An-
Scott, of course. What's his name?
Andrew
Andrew Scott.
Scott.
Big
Uh,
morning for him with the SAGs.
uh, I have to make a statement because I don't know if I've publicly made this statement
Okay.
that if Andrew Scott
Mm-hmm.
or America
Okay. Oh, okay. You're going with it, America Ferrer. Okay.
get
Or Andrew Scott.
nominated for SAG, I
Okay.
mean, hopefully both, but
Right.
if either one get nominated for SAG, I will pay my SAG dues and I will be in good standing in SAG.
Wow. Wow.
This is my
That is
vow. Tomorrow morning, I will know whether I owe well, I still owe. I'm going to always owe, but whether I'm going to owe my credit card company
right. Where do you push this debt is basically the
X
question.
amount of money to pay my dues.
So, okay, so
Now
if
there is
America
talk that there
Ferrer
is,
for
yeah.
supporting actress or Andrew Scott for best actor gets SAG nominations, you will pay your dues so that you will then be allowed to vote on the SAG awards.
Now, if they both get snubbed,
Right.
SAG is shit out of luck because I don't know the next time. I mean, maybe next year when someone else I like is going to get nominated. I mean, listen, there's talk of GoFundMe. We'll talk about this when the nominations come out, but
Yeah.
there's a possibility we do a GoFundMe. Um, but that's going to be big news on Monday. So you'll
Mm,
know by
wow.
the time you listen to this episode, you'll know, is Clayton going to have to put out a ton of money?
Yeah, because it's been. I mean, talk about piggybacking. That debt has been piggybacking on previous debt for years now. So you owe a
Pre-COVID.
decent. This is wow. So this is pre-COVID. Yeah. So you owe quite a chunk of change.
Mhm.
And if Andrew Scott or America Ferrer get SAG award nominations for movies, not if they did a streamer, we're not counting that. If they
No,
get
yeah.
awards nominated for movies, you
Mhm.
will pay your back SAG dues.
Now I have to be clear. I just have to be clear here.
Be clear.
Cast doesn't count because that's the big best picture cast. So of course Barbie is going to get nominated, so she will be nominated. But I'm saying individual
Individual
nominations.
supporting actress or Andrew Scott for best actor. Got it.
Yes, I have to draw the line somewhere because we know
Okay.
Barbie is going to get that nomination.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
And
individual achievement.
that'll be yeah, I mean, that'll be another interesting one. That battle between Barbie and Oppenheimer, the SAG Awards could be friendlier to something like Barbie than maybe the Golden Globes were. We'll
Mhm.
see. We're going to be covering all of this through, of course, the lens of being the BO boys. And this is the biggest box office, I would say the biggest box office specific Oscar race we've had in a long time because it's Barbenheimer battling for these awards. And that is purely to me a box office story.
I mean, listen, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm assuming Barbie, if it won Best Picture, would be one of the highest grossing Best Pictures of all time.
Right. I mean, Titanic. It would probably be the
Under
highest
Titanic.
grossing best picture since Titanic.
Yeah.
I mean, more than The Artist.
I mean, the thing is, they always say Gone with the Wind made like $20 billion
Right.
in 20s money,
Right.
but we don't talk about, like,
We don't talk about 20s money.
yeah, we don't talk about 20s money.
Yeah. Um, all right. So a lot more to come on the award season. And
How are
then
you
listen,
feeling? Are you calmer now?
now I'm not. Now I'm not.
Okay. Just checking in. Just checking in. Wanted to see how you're
This
doing.
is why we need to have 4 hours a day every day in the morning,
Mhm.
because by hour 3, and if we had callers in the mix and
Yeah.
callers are calling up, And then
All
they're
these people
listen,
telling you to calm down, all these
all the,
callers
and they
hearing
would.
what I'm hearing and telling you to just chill out.
Well, they would, even though it's not true, they would, because they know that would make good radio and great radio. And, callers come in to egg people on, and they would call up, and then you'd have callers who would do Giamatti impressions,
Yeah, yeah.
and they would, in a Giamatti impression, they would say, "Hey, it's your idol, Paul Giamatti, and just wants to call, say, calm down." And there'd be a caller who does a great Paul Giamatti impression, and he thinks that's going to get him a regular spot on the show, and it's not.
Mm-mm.
It's not.
I'd give him a spot. You wouldn't.
Not after that one.
Yeah.
Not after that one. But then when he called back and did an Andrew Scott impression and said how he didn't get nominated, and then, asked, "Hey, does that make you cry? Like I made you cry in the
Fuck
movie
this
theater?"
guy. Hang
Well,
up on him.
that's the thing. Yeah. Then you would
Get off
hang
my
up on him.
phone. Get off
Yeah.
my phone.
So that's why we need 4 hours a day, because by hour 3, this would just be an all-time screaming match.
Mm-hmm.
But we need those 3-4 hours to get to that point.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. We're getting there. But you know what?
You're
We're not
getting
getting
there.
there tonight. We're not getting there tonight, because we're gotta cut it off now. We
Mm-hmm.
gotta cut off, because the podcast, not a 4-hour drive time radio show. So of course, email us, theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your boots on the ground reporting. Give us your takes on the award season. Did you watch the Golden Globes? What'd you think of Joe Coy? Email us, theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. But also we don't care what you thought of Joe Coy. That's the last
No.
we'll speak of stand-up comedians for a while. Follow us on social media at the BO Boys Pod. Want to be a senior intern Christopher killing with the clips on Twitter X, on TikTok, on our YouTube. He's putting clips up. Of course, want to be a junior intern Jack. You got to subscribe to the BO Boys Substack. This guy's writing up a storm. He is in the mold of Scott Mendelson. In the mold, young, aspiring, hungry box office writer, and he's writing for us right now on the BO Boys Substack. Just put up his analysis of the weekend results for January 5th. Listen, not a must read. Scott Mendelson is the only must read, but Jack is a should read for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So subscribe to the BO Boys Substack. We're YouTube.
In fact,
yes,
Pat, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we got a great review on iTunes about the Substack from PJ Peloton.
Okay.
Said, good stuff, BO Boys. 5 stars, of course. Entertaining podcast and exceptional Substack articles. Kudos to whoever writes those.
Wow. Okay, Jack. Great shout out, because now you were doing something that matters, which is getting us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. So your work, your words, they officially matter now. That is huge for Jack. I'm looking at our Apple Podcast page. We've gotten a great batch of 5-star reviews recently, so thank you all for those. Just quickly, some of the ones: 5 stars, love the show, ho ho ho. 5 stars, love the show, ho ho ho. Thanks, Pat Asks. And Lee Wuffle said that. Great pod from Jermaine O'Neill. Someone asked, this is an interesting question: 5 stars. And then CM from Billerica asked, is this okay? Is it plagiarism if I give a box office opinion at a party that I stole from the pod without properly sourcing the BO Boys? Clayton, what do you think about that? It's an interesting question.
Well, would you make a statement that Plato made and then not say Plato said it? Same thing with Aristotle. Same thing with, Seneca.
Right.
So I don't think it's plagiarism. There's not a legal element to it, but there's an intellectual inauthenticity to it. So what I would say is, here's an opinion I heard from the BO Boys, and then list our socials, our Substack, TikTok, my GoFundMe for my SAG, and then say, here's my take on what they said. I agree with it. Then you're in the clear.
Right. Yeah, or maybe, just text a BO Boys link tree to whoever it is you're talking to. Be like, gonna give you this opinion before I do, here's a bunch of links that you need to have, and then you give the opinion. Yeah, I agree. I think attribute us, but here's what I'll say. If you're at a party and you're
Mhm.
talking to a person and you're hitting it off with them, with this person,
Person.
and a great bit of knowledge that you heard on the BO Boys is going to make that connection really spark and lead to something,
Mhm.
I'm giving you the blessing. If the attribution is gonna put an end to that, or
Mhm.
is gonna lead to them, that person saying, "Oh, who are these BO boys?" Because listen,
Mhm.
I'm
Are
taken.
they single?
Are they single? And the thing is, I'm not,
I'm a
and
lifelong bachelor.
you're a lifelong bachelor, so we don't want to screw that up for you.
No.
So you have my blessing. Pretend you came up with it. If it's going to
Yes.
lead to a romantic spark at a party.
Finally, Pat, we agree on something tonight.
Yeah.
I also agree.
Yeah.
Use that bit of knowledge to further your romantic life.
Yes. And where else do people need to follow? So yeah, keep giving us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. You could ask questions there, and as you saw, we'll answer a very deep question.
Mhm.
So 5-star review, ask us a deep question, we'll answer it on the podcast. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that is all we've got to say. There's nothing left to say.
There is there can't be. There
Can't
just
be.
can't be,
No.
time-wise. But anyway, there's only one thing left to say. Actually, until next time,
Will
we'll
smell
smell
you
you
at
at
the